This is Lord Yatta.
This is DTM, and we're here to talk about the ATL Masked Men 2020 art series.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're gonna talk about another person that we chose in our list of the ATL Masked Men 2020 art series. Whew, it's a lot of words. The more you say it, the better it's gonna get. Right. And so let's talk about another one of those pieces.
So Danny, man, who was one of the first pieces that you started painting?
So one of the first pieces I started was to experiment this new idea, because I've done many paintings and drawings of Aztec artwork, and then 2 years ago I did this whole series of characters and people with Aztec designs, and I did that digitally. So this was going to be my first time trying that same idea, but now on multi-layered with the wood, and so so I had to experiment a little bit. So I painted myself a couple times, and that's just so I can get the trial and error out the way. Right. And then, but because you were the inspiration for it, and you're the one who came up with the idea for the show, then I started painting you. Plus, your head was bigger than the others, and that helped me, not lose myself in the detail, because I've been painting for a while, and I think I can do what I want to do when it comes to the paintbrush and the paint, right. But it's not to the level of what I see other artists do. When I see your work, when I see W, and W's detail, it's like I don't know what he does with the brush. It's that he gets textures and things out of it, yeah, with the same brushes and paint that I would use, and so with my level and my skill, I like to paint bigger. I like to paint big, so I don't have to sit there and try to get some definition out of a little tiny space, right? So I go big, and so that's why I started with your face, so that way I could experiment, play around, and lock in the idea and style that was going to go through all the paintings. Right. That's what I was afraid of, is that I started on some of the paintings, and then I understand something new about it, and then the rest of the paintings will be slightly different. I didn't want that. I wanted all of them to be very similar and the same, and because it's part of a series, and it's a challenge to myself. So that's why I started with your face. Now I know that we decided we was gonna paint each other, and for the series, and I think that was a cool concept, in that the two artists who are in the show paint each other, and make that part of the series. But to me, when you think about what Masked Men means, and the ATL Masked Men series means, and how we're shining the light on somebody who's made an impression, made a difference, an inspiration or something in our lives, in our creative careers. And Yatta and I have been professional artists for a long time. I can say my professional career started in '95. And when I say professional, that means I'm getting paid. And I wasn't getting paid for tattoos until like '96. But my apprenticeship started in '95. And then but I was already getting paid for drawings. And what I like to say, I was doing logo designs and illustrations for other people and getting paid for it. And so to me, that's a professional, right? You're in business of some kind. And so starting my career then, and then meeting you in '95, and then going through my apprenticeship with the tattoo shop, and then you being there, and I think you did my second tattoo, because the tribal. I think you did the tribal, yeah, on my arm. So that was and that tattoo was 1 week after my first tattoo. And so I gotta admit that I had never thought of my life as an artist. I never thought that I would ever find a way to have an art career. That I just didn't imagine that I could take this thing that I wanted to do, that I felt like doing all the time, that I grew up doing all the time. I do not remember a time when I wasn't drawing, and I did not know that people got paid to draw. I understood there were comics out there. There's animators and animation and cartoons. I just never thought that, you know what, that is a place that people go to work and they get paid to create this stuff. I just never imagined it. And then in high school, that was not one of those things that you focus on and think about. The opportunities were not there. The life that I lived was very rough. And so thinking of extracurricular activities was not a thing you do in growing up. And so now as an adult here, I come to Atlanta thinking, okay, I'm going to be an artist. I want to get paid to be an artist. I don't know what that is. I don't know how you start. I don't know nothing. All I know is I have my pencils and my paper. And so coming across that opportunity in my apprenticeship, having Yatta in my life that early, it allowed the chance to have someone that I can talk to about these ideas and things and would respond with not necessarily the right answer, but the opportunity to explore, well, what's that look like? Right. Because all my life, my family did not support my art. People, my life did not support my art. I never took an art class in school, so there wasn't anyone to say, hey, Dan, you know, you can draw. That's cool. Try this or try that. There was no feedback whatsoever. And then I was in the Marine Corps in the early 90s, and so I would draw, and I'll tell them, yeah, I'm going to be a comic artist. You know, I just say stuff. And they would laugh. People would laugh. Like, that's stupid. You know, and so I always felt like I don't know what I'm doing here. How I'm gonna make this happen. And so when I met Yatta and we are the similar age, I felt like there's someone I can talk to, and now I can either figure it out how to do, and then whatever questions I have, maybe he can answer. And I've asked Yatta lots of questions in all of life. I constantly asking questions, and it's just that whatever I know that I can't figure out, there's someone else I can talk to. And then through the friendship with Yatta, we found other artists. We talked to more artists. It allowed me the chance to feel that, you know, I'm not out by myself. I'm not out by myself getting into these conversations that I don't know anything about. And I had someone else with me, and it empowered me to reach out and continue building the network of people that we've gotten to know. And so I've always appreciated Yatta for that. I always felt that I found someone who can understand me in some aspects of my creativity and empower me to further those things. And so I got a long conversation when it comes to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and if you want to know more, let's have a longer podcast on it. In any case, when we opened our tattoo shop in '97, we'd have a lot of free time because we don't get customers every day walking through the door. And so that's when Yatta started pulling out his paints, his canvases, the brushes, and he would sit in a couch just like this, and with a big canvas. He'd have it up here in his lap and just start painting and tap, 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 grab some paint and go on. And I started watching and paying attention because I always wanted to paint. And I played, I started buying stuff, but I could not understand how to get this brush to do the things that I want to do the way I can get a marker or a pencil to do. Give me a pencil, I can draw anything. Give me a marker, I get you some fine, clean lines. But give me a brush, and the brush goes like this, right? It starts doing weird stuff. And it is through watching Yatta and asking him questions that he showed me how he paints, that then I started picking up some of those tips and tricks into figuring out, well, how could I get the paintbrush to do this? And understand that when I'm using a pencil or marker, I can lay that on the paper and lean on it and get the line that I want. But when you're painting, you don't just lean on the canvas. You know, you got to have that soft touch. You got to have that pressure and so on, the angle and so on and so forth. And so to me, you know, Yatta's been that kind of person that showed me a lot of things, been there a lot of every step of the way when I started my art career. And he's continued on building with his talent and inspiring others, and stayed very strong. Has kept a very strong position in the art community, to the point that everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows his art style. Everybody knows that when you come to Yatta, you're gonna get the best piece of artwork you could possibly get out of him. He is not going to shortchange himself. He's not going to shortchange other people. He is going to give it his all. And so to me, that's an inspiration, and I keep pushing when it comes to my art. All right. I'm sorry you have to sit here and listen to this in person, but that's how I feel.
Hey,
that's how I feel, and that's the inspiration.
What's funny, I'm going to interject. What you said about not seeing a path that way is like, and I had a similar conversation with Red, who owns the tattoo shop, Tri-Cities now. I don't know how it started. I think he had asked me though, had I always seen myself doing art or something like that. Mm-hmm. I was like, because he was like, when he was young, you know, he had the ability to draw and stuff, but didn't have the people encouraging it along the way. It was like, for me, I never saw any other way, because I started at, you know, everybody draws when they're young, right? And then there's a point where you switch over into other stuff that you got interested in, right? So, but for me, it was like, this is something I do when nobody has to ask. And being able to get into that program that I spoke about, the Creative and Performing Arts program, in the 6th grade, is like, it's always been part of my learning process, going up through middle school, high school, and, you know, a little bit of college or whatever. So in that aspect, I knew that it was always going to be some art, something. I was going to be involved in it some kind of way. I didn't know how it was going to manifest later in the years, but, you know, as a child, I always dreamed about having my stuff in galleries and, you know, stuff like that. You know, you read about Van Gogh and Monet and all these other people, and it's like, you see this shit in these big old museums, and it's like, yeah, one day. But, you know, you got to be half dead or on your way out to be put in these places. But, you know, how do you maintain a living art career where I can make money? And once I found tattooing, it was like, this is it. Yeah. You know, the guy, I always tell this story, is like, I got my first tattoo when I was 22. I drew up the piece and gave it to the guy. They did their process. He put it on me. He got done in 30 minutes, and he charged me $150. And the light bulb went off. I was like, I need to learn how to do this. If he can put my artwork on my arm, this is something I believe that I can do myself. So, you know, and I just pursued it, and that's been the thing, you know, ever since. So I didn't see any other way. I was encouraged in that way. You know what I'm saying? My mom saw that in me and was like, okay, well, we gonna try to get you into this program or whatever, and, you know, and we did it. That's
good. And that put you in that place where you were confident about it. Yeah. And it's perfect for me to be somebody like that, because I didn't know anything.
Right, because I've heard, you know, that story that you say though. I hear that from a lot of other artists, and I was like, I don't get that though, because it's like, why wouldn't you? I mean, I could see, it's like, you know, my mom even still would be like, go to college, get a degree, because you can do this art stuff, but you need something else to fall back on, you know. Right. But that was more about just being practical about your situation, saying that, and now I can see, is like, you know, things don't always work out the way that you plan, so it's good to have something else in your tool belt that you can do in case this don't work out.
Right. And you know, that's you had something to fall back on, which was that falling back on. That's what I was doing, manual labor. Right. Like what I had was manual labor. That's it. You know, even coming out the Marine Corps, I didn't know how to do anything other than put in the work, physical work. And so having the idea of what's the first step to being an artist, like, of course, now I know a ton of things that you could do, but what's the first step? Who do I talk to? Where do I go? Me hearing about drawing sessions blew my mind. It's like, what, people go hang out together and draw together? Right. You know, and like you said, when you're growing up, maybe everybody draws. In kindergarten, everybody draws. Right. you know, but first, second grade, third grade, people start falling off. Yeah. And then you're the only one. And after a while, you don't have anyone to talk to. Right. You have no one to give you guidance or share a word that is like, you know what, that's a key word that I can go look for now. And so, in any case, I think we have very different upbringings. Right. That when we met, I knew that there was something there that I needed to learn from, and someone very available to show me the way. That's crazy. Yeah. So when it came time to figuring out, and so for each piece that I was gonna have in my list, I was gonna do the Azteca Moderno theme for it, and I wanted to find the particular god that fit the personality for each person that I picked in my list. Right. And so the first few ones was going to be easy because I have some go-to gods that I know. But because it's going to be 13, I have to really dig hard into that list of gods. And I said, well, the ones that I know right away, I know who they're going to fit. And because that's where I was going to start with Yatta, my brother, Carol, our teacher, I knew that which gods those were going to be. And so with Yatta, and because of everything I just said to you, he is Quetzalcoatl, the personification of Quetzalcoatl. And Quetzalcoatl is the god of knowledge. He is the god of a whole bunch of other stuff too. And but most importantly, he brings knowledge to everyone around him. And that's how I saw Lord Yatta, is somebody who I've learned a lot from and continue to learn to this day. I still ask him questions. I ask him questions all the time. I send him a text, he answers, and he is there as a resource for me to not get stuck in the dark and think about and get stuck and then feel like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do here. There's a lot of resources online nowadays. You know, we have the internet and all. But back in the beginning of my art career, that wasn't the case. You couldn't just look up stuff. The library was not up to date like it is today. And you could talk to an artist anytime and find an artist and ask them a question, and people were not easy to share. Yeah. That was not a thing. Sharing what you know was not a thing. Because, go ahead. No. And so when it came time to ask somebody, you were not going to find helpful information. And to me, that's where Lord Yatta fits in my art career and in my life.
I think that was something that we kind of always did jointly, though. Once we got the shop established, is we was like open source,
right?
You know what I'm saying? We tried to share with all the younger.
We shared our space. We shared our our time. Yes, we shared. Yeah. We invited people over, let them do their art shows and express themselves, and make it a place where artists can thrive.
You're welcome, because I think that was a direct result of getting that from other people. Even on the tattoo side of it, it was like we genuinely had a thirst for wanting to learn and be better at what we were doing. But when we went to the OGs, they was all like, you know, whatever, dude, you know, I had to struggle through this, but you know, it don't have to be this stupid fraternity thing, you know what I'm saying? Don't you want to help proliferate the culture in a positive way? So why are you gonna treat this cat that you see is trying to get better like he just a little poo butt and not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't shut out the rest of the community. Build the community.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we was in there talking crazy like, oh, we the best motherfuckers on the block and we gonna do this. It was like humbly we came and was like, yo, this is what we doing. I just need to, you know, give me a little tip here and there, and motherfuckers will just shut you out. It was like, nah, we wasn't gonna be like that. So,
right. Yep. Totally. And I think that's where the name Vantage Point also helped cement that mission for us, is that the point of view, you know, and we want to look at it from a big picture point of view, and include everybody and be open to everybody, and not just this is my way. And some people still have that I struggled coming up, so you need to struggle too. It's like there's no reason why people should continue to make the same mistakes that have been made from the beginning of time.
Exactly.
And so I think that I made plenty of mistakes in my art career, but a lot of it, the mistakes that I did not make, is because I had somebody to talk to and reach out to, and for that I'm thankful.
Go in, nigga. Come on.